Did you get good grade?
Last night.
Why you not doctor?
But help me, do for me.
I first discovered Just Kidding Films, I think it was about 2011. On my Facebook feed, a lot of people started posting this video called Shit Asian Moms Say and Shit Asian Dads Say. I know that's not one of the original videos, you know, but for me, that's the first time that I was introduced to Just Kidding Films. And then I thought that when I saw, like, hey, you know, these guys are pretty funny, but at the same time, I wasn't like a super hardcore fan or anything about that. The content resonated with me a little bit. I mean, I think, because I didn't actually grow up in a very, very traditional or, you know, like with an Asian mom and Asian dad. It was more like this is kind of what all my friends went through. But for me personally, it was amusing and it was funny, but it wasn't like, oh my goodness, you know, this is me. So I guess growing up, my life was very westernized, I guess, a little bit more, especially when compared to the traditional American-born Chinese. Or I'm not even American, I was born in New Zealand. But so my dad was born in New Zealand, and my mom was born in Taiwan. So because of that, I guess, my mom kind of provided that traditional Asian background, but then at the same time, my dad gave me like a very westernized background as well. So therefore, I was always allowed to kind of do whatever I want, you know, have that freedom to kind of choose whatever I wanted to pursue. I guess I was always being really into storytelling, so one thing I used to do was play with my Legos, and I would create these like elaborate worlds where there'd be like a bunch of, you know, Lego superheroes going out to, you know, to fight the bad guys and getting into their spaceships. It's really pretty stupid when I think about it, but I think my affinity for storytelling came from my love of reading. I think ever since I was a young little child, my dad used to read to me. I always just loved that when I would read these books or listen to these books, I felt like I was transported to a different world. So instead of doing my homework, I would, you know, kind of read these books, and then my mom came in and saw like what I was doing, so she took the book away. So what I did was that, you know, I did a little bit of my homework, and then I went to my parents' room and looked for the book and continued to read. I've seen what my parents are able to provide for me, and even though they've never really told me, you need to do this or you need to do that, they've always kind of provided me with like the opportunity to do like extracurricular activities.
Cleveland has some big time guys, some big guns. Pally better get an early lead, because we know that Michael Chiu on the anchor is great.
So I used to be really big into competitive swimming. I would go to practice 6 times a week, and then each practice was like 3 hours with like some sort of like calisthenics training as well.
Here we go, Dolphins lead, but Michael Chiu is the final guy. Cleveland and Palisade. When they turn, they'll have 1 lap of the pool. They're dead even. Can Michael Chiu pull it out for Cleveland? It looks like the Cavaliers. Chiu has the lead. 10 yards to go for Cleveland. Cleveland's coming to the wall. Cleveland has won it all.
3:26.18 to 3:26.97.
The Cleveland Cavaliers have upset Palisades.
I was actually city champion in swimming for like a couple of times.
Michael Chiu and Cleveland rallying in the relay. Cleveland wins the boys.
So seeing what my parents did for me, I always felt like I want to in the future do the same thing for my children as well. So I guess because of that, I've always wanted to be able to succeed in life. For example, with swimming, I would apply myself and then try my hardest to succeed, so that hopefully that this attitude would kind of translate over into other things as well. So I guess because of all those things that I grew up with, I've always wanted to do my best. And if I wasn't as good at something, I would either go home and practice it a lot, or I would probably just drop and focus on things that I was better at. So when I got to college, I came in as a recruit for swimming, and I went to a school which was known for, I guess, its business prowess. So I decided to major in econ. So I took my first econ class, and it was horrible. I wasn't into what I was doing. And then secondly, it just like didn't vibe with me. I think I got like a C or something in that class. And then I remembered that I had really enjoyed this film class in high school. So I decided that, well, maybe I'll do this media studies thing as well on the side. And eventually, I decided that I want to stop this econ thing and concentrate mainly just on doing film stuff. But then I thought to myself, well, people who do art and film, they don't really make a lot of money, and they can't really support themselves, you know. For the most part, I don't want to be a starving artist in life, and then I don't know, is that worth it? So I kind of set about trying to figure out, well, how can I make this viable in my life? But then as I did more production stuff, I realized that, oh hey, you know, I'm actually interested in production. And then one of the sets that I ended up on was a JustKiddingFilms shoot. I remember thinking that, well, this would be a really good opportunity to network, to make new friends, rather than like, oh, I'm such a fan, I want to, you know, to meet my idols. Because to be honest, even though I had seen a couple of Just Kidding Films videos, I had a hard time remembering who was Bart and who was Joe. I think at the time, I used to remember to myself like, well, you know, Bart is the buff one because he's really buff. So it was like B for buff, B for buff. After the music video shoot, which I thought went really well, and then I saw the result and I was like, damn, these guys are really good, you know. I went back to my life and then didn't hear from anyone from JK for like 6 months. And then, you know, like one day I got a Facebook message from one of the producers at JK. She was like, we're gonna be shooting more skits, like, are you interested in helping us out to do sound? And for me at that time, it's always been about like, even though this isn't like what I want to do with my ultimate goal, it's like you need to do a lot of stuff that you don't want to do to kind of get your foot in the door. So I was like, all right, sure, you know, I'll come help out. And then after that, I kind of helped out, you know, more and more with their sound stuff at JK, even though that's not what I wanted to do, but it was more like, well, while I was there, I wanted to, you know, put in 110% effort and try my hardest every single time to make sure that their sound was good. Because I always felt like, well, if you don't nail something on the first time or, you know, very quickly, then you kind of lose your opportunity. So I was always like trying my best to make a good impression. I was also really gravitated to JK's work culture because for me personally, when I do something, I want to, you know, do it all in and then try my best, and no matter what it is, right? Like if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to try really hard to get it done. And I felt like at JK, there's like a small group of people, you know, roughly my age as well, who were all like working together to make these high-end products with like not a whole lot of resources. So that really appealed to me, that their whole work ethic and that their whole camaraderie, that they all kind of work together and create this really cohesive unit.
Boss ass bitch! 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 I'm a boss ass bitch!
I think it was my third JK film skit shoot. And you know, there was this girl, right? I didn't really know who she was since that was the first time that I met her. And she had a kid. And I was like, oh hey, you know, I'm Michael. And she was like, oh hey, I'm Tiff. And then she was like, oh, I'm Casey's girlfriend. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, right? And so I taught her how to, you know, coil some cables. And I remember her saying that, oh yeah, you know, this is just exactly like what we do at the hospital with some sort of cabling stuff. At that point, I realized that she worked at the hospital and she was helping out with JK. It was very, very impressive that she was trying to, you know, fit in that 9-to-5 job along with helping out JK. And it kind of reminded me of like what I was doing as well. A large part of me has been trying to figure out a way to make my passions work in a practical sense. One thing that really helped me was swimming. If swimming is a metaphor for life, there's definitely a lot of things that it has taught me. Like one, you know, it's like when I first started swimming, I wasn't super talented, but I put in a lot of hard work to kind of get where I got to be. So it's like, you know, you put in the, you know, the hard work and then you go to the practices. It's really cold in the morning and you still have to jump into the water, but it's like if you don't jump into the water, then someone else is. So it's like you need to put in the hard work to get where you are to get the good results. But at the same time, you know, swimming isn't one of those things where like the harder you work, the faster you go. Because actually, the easiest way to, you know, improve in swimming is to reduce drag. And so that's to kind of be more efficient. So I guess, you know, that's kind of about life where, you know, you want to work hard, but you don't just want to work in a stupid fashion. You want to work in a very efficient fashion to kind of get where you want to be. So I think finding the path that you want to take in life is actually very, very difficult. I mean, if you look at me, I started out in one thing with one idea, and then I kind of, you know, went on this like higgledy-piggledy path to get to where I wanted to be eventually, and I'm still not even there yet. But at the same time, if you don't start looking, then you're never gonna get there. No matter how old you are, if you're 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, or even, you know, like an old grandma and grandpa, it's never too late to begin to look for your path that you want to take in life. Hey guys, so I hope you really enjoyed my How We Met. As someone who's usually behind the camera, it was a very scary experience to be in front of the camera like this. And not only that, I was also sharing a lot of personal details which, you know, I've actually never told very many people before. So, you know, not only am I kind of sharing it with, you know, myself, but also like thousands of millions of fans on the internet. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series, and I hope you guys feel compelled to go out there and to, you know, find your own path and to, you know, do something that you really want to do with your passions. Click over here to check out Tommy's How We Met video, and I hope to see you guys again next week for another How We Met. See you guys.
Did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun doing How We Met, and I hope I never have to do it ever again. Just kidding. Awesome, awesome. I hope we see more of Michael in the future. Hopefully we do as well. Not for Silent Library. Not for Silent Library. I've already stuck way too many toes and chewed on way too many pieces of already chewed gum, so I'm not doing that ever again.